Hey guys, welcome to Boxing Squared for boxing news and views from around the internet. Deontay Wilder has made a statement performance against Dominic Breazeale, knocking out the hapless Breazeale in one round. This was quite a brutal knockout. You can see here on screen Breazeale laid out on the canvas. It actually looked like he was out for a couple of seconds. He didn't look like he was going to get up, and he didn't beat the count. Harvey Dock counting him out as Breazeale was getting to his feet, but couldn't quite make it. But in all honesty, he probably couldn't have continued. He was really in a bad state. Deontay Wilder landing a vicious right hand, and it wasn't the only right hand of the first round. This one opened up with both being a little bit cautious. Breazeale was the one tracking forward, both trading jabs, and this was something that was evident early on, more use of the jab by Deontay Wilder. It was a good punch for him. He was setting up the right hand on the back of it, and this was something that he needed to do, so he wasn't telegraphing the right hand. He landed one right hand, came up a little bit short, but Breazeale backed up a bit. But it must have been about just over a minute and a half into the round. A right hand really sort of shakes Dominic Breazeale's senses. He backs up. Wilder is all over him, going into, Wilder windmill mode. And Dominic Breazeale, it's quite a wild exchange here. He fires back and catches Wilder, backs him up. And for that moment, Dominic Breazeale was out of harm's way. But not for long. Deontay Wilder detonates the right hand, a straight right hand, and Dominic Breazeale just folds like a cheap suit. He was down, and it didn't look like he would get back up. So yeah, Dominic Breazeale taken out in one round by Deontay Wilder. And this was a situation ahead of this fight where Wilder spoke about wanting to make a statement performance to really hurt Breazeale and take him out quicker than Anthony Joshua did. And he certainly did that. And ahead of this fight, Joshua had said, well, I think Wilder's going to win this one, but I hope he doesn't win as fast as I did. And this performance here, there will be those comparisons. But obviously, it goes back to another reminder for fans of Deontay Wilder. He has dynamite in those hands, and I actually think the extra weight, he put on 11 pounds for this fight, and it's not a weight that he hasn't fought at before. He's been even heavier than 223 pounds, but I think that probably helped him with the actual, pep and the punch, because at the lower weights against Luis Ortiz and Tyson Fury, he wasn't, I don't think, hitting as hard as he did in this fight. But then again, those guys, Ortiz and Tyson Fury, much better head movement, and that was non-existent for Dominic Breazeale, who was coming forward but had zero head movement and also wasn't using the jab to much effect. He threw the odd one early on, but it sort of fell away pretty quickly. And if you're coming forward, you aren't moving your head, you are a stationary target to some extent for Deontay Wilder to just fire that right hand, which was straighter for this fight. It wasn't as looping as he was throwing it in that fight with Tyson Fury back in December. But this was a performance that I think we expected to some extent in terms of he was going to knock Breazeale out at some point. That almost felt like it was a fait accompli, but it was a more impressive performance than I was expecting. I thought he would put the hurt on Breazeale over a number of rounds and stop him somewhere between, rounds 5 and 8, something like that. But obviously, Breazeale, who is noted for having a very good chin, and he took the first couple of punches well, but obviously that last one that felled him, just couldn't take it. The power was too much, and it really was a devastating performance by Deontay Wilder. And this is only going to help him, his marketability, and getting him growing his commercial value, because this is what this is really coming down to at the moment. They're trying to cash in for these big fights that lay ahead with Anthony Joshua or Tyson Fury. And even in the post-fight review, Deontay Wilder spoke about this. He said all these fights are in discussion, these big fights will happen, all the parties are talking. And he explicitly said, we want to make sure we get the most money possible. Good things come to those who wait. And that's probably not exactly what fans want to hear, that, we're going to have this sort of etched out again, until 2020 or 2021, who knows. But it's certainly looking that way, and Deontay Wilder said it himself. This is about money. And I've always said, to me, this feels like it's all about money, and it's about growing these fights to a point where they can really cash in. And Deontay Wilder has confirmed this. So the what next is interesting. And Luis Ortiz, who looked very full-faced when he went into the ring. He was in the ring they did a quick interview with him, sort of saying, well, you know, do you want the rematch with Wilder? And he sort of said, well, you know, Deontay Wilder's the only one who can say that. But he wasn't asked about that in his interview. And Luis Ortiz couldn't really shed any light if it was next. So it was almost like, well, was it worth having him in the ring at all? But Wilder also stated to Jim Gray, he told Breazeale, because they embraced after the fight, even despite all the bitterness and hatred ahead of the fight, Wilder said that he told him he loved him and that he wanted to see him go home safe to his family, and that effectively they had settled their differences and that everything that had gone on, well, that was behind them now because they'd fought like men in the ring and it was behind them now. But this was a very impressive performance by Deontay Wilder, and you could tell he had worked on a few things. He was actually using the jab as a bit of a weapon. And Dominic Breazeale, you know, the strategy was all wrong. There was no defense. He was always going to get hit and hurt at some point, but Deontay Wilder put that hurt on early and gets the impressive performance. A good statement win. His stock will continue to rise off the back of these types of performances, especially as people start making comparisons between his win and Anthony Joshua's win over Breazeale, which took 7 more rounds. But, you know, it's one of these things. We're going to get these fights by the look of it at some point. But it's all about money, and it's down the line. So who is next? Possibly Luis Ortiz, but we didn't really get much of an insight into that with Ortiz in his brief interview, and it was all a bit confusing, really. But Tyson Fury and Anthony Joshua, looks like there's going to be more of a go-round. They're not going to be fighting each other in the short term. So 2020 it is, I guess, but we'll have to see. What did you make of it all? Deontay Wilder sparking out Dominic Breazeale in 1 round. He did actually look like he was knocked out. Getting the job done, statement performance. Drop a comment, loud and often. Hit like, hit subscribe, follow me on Twitter, boxing_squared. I'm out.